3214 Lawrence Logel, World War II veteran, USS Belle Grove, about 1943 to 45 through 46 or so. Operations in World War II were the Makin Islands, Marshall Islands, Saipan, called the Marianas, then Tinian, which is a very important battle, Leyte, Luzon, and Iwo Jima.
Well, I was drafted after Whirlpool shut down. Whirlpool practically shut down. So I was drafted, and I got a job at the shipyard. And there was a story about the shipyard. There's a story about the shipyard that Susie was head man Susie was the head man of the labor union, and the story was that every time you got your dues paid, he hired a new bunch. That was the story back in them days. And so while I was off, Whirlpool called and said, what they called before
Draft?
Before I was drafted before I was left from Susie's Farby. And I told them I had a good job. I was going to stay. But then a couple of weeks later, they called again and said they got a job in a machine shop. So I thought, well, I was laid off by Susie. So I had no choice but to go back to Whirlpool. So I stayed to Whirlpool until I was drafted to Whirlpool.
What year, how old were you when you got drafted? 22?
No, I was getting pretty old. I think I was close to 30.
Yes, okay.
I think I was close to 30. I was drafted and they took me, they said, we're going to put you in the Army. So I said, well, I'd like to go into the Navy if I could. So a couple of hours later, they called, they said, well, we're going to put you in the Navy. So I told them I had two brothers in the Army and I would like to go in the Navy. So they put me in the Navy then. And then they just put me on a troop ship and said, I think we was going to Japan. I think we was going to Japan. But when we was in the middle of the Pacific, the war had ended. Truman decided to drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Soon after that, the war had ended. The war had ended. So I don't believe they knew what to do with us. So they took us on a cruise. So we went on a cruise, and I went to Shanghai and Hong Kong, and then Okinawa. And on Okinawa, I got on this ship. in Okinawa I got on the ship. Then we took, like I say, we took a cruise and we went to different countries, went up the Nancy River and seen all them little boats. What do they call them? I forget what
Sampans.
I forget what they call them. And the people on them little boats had to jump from one to another to get on land. Get on land. I don't see how they stood it.
I got seasick. Asking about getting seasick.
Did you ever get seasick in the ocean?
What?
Did you ever get seasick?
Oh yeah. I was in a typhoon and I was sick for 3 days. I was sick for 3 days. I vomited the blood up. I was praying that the ship would roll over to get out of my misery. I was hoping that the ship would roll over. I don't know. So I would get on the ship when I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. I don't know how the other guys took it, but I couldn't stand it. I hope I was wishing it would turn over.
When you did you ever see them load any tanks on your ship or put them on little ships and take them off?
No, that was after the war.
After the war, they did that.
And they didn't do that anymore. But that ship, they say they could lower it in the water and put what kind of one of them little boats.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. They have smaller ships that they put them on. They put it on the tanks and float them out of the bottom of out of the back of your boat or the side of your boat, and you'd see them come out of the back or the side.
They say they could lower the ship and drive these other ships, little boats, like Kennedy was on, and
Like a PT 109 or PT what he had,
yeah.
and then they can drive the ship in the bottom. They raise and lower your ballast.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
they could raise it up and work on it. But like I say, it all happened after they shut down the war. After all happened after the war was over.
Did you like that ship except when you were on the Typhoon?
Do what?
Did you like that ship? The name of your ship was the Belle Grove. Did you like the Belle Grove except when you were in that Typhoon? Did you have a place to sleep? Were you in bunks or?
You couldn't sleep. And your tray, you slid from one side, or you catch it, or it'd go on the floor. Catch it, or you go on the floor. Oh, it was a mess. It was a mess.
How many Typhoons were you in?
One. It lasted 3 days. Lasted 3 days.
How big were the waves? 30 feet? Bigger than the ship?
Pretty big. Ship went like that. I wish it would roll. I wish it would roll over. I couldn't stand it. I vomited blood.
Yeah. Your ship was pretty big. It was twice the size of the LST that's stationed here in Evansville. Yours is about 500 feet long and about 75 feet wide, where the LST is 55 feet wide and about 300 feet long. So your ship was a big one. It could hold, they say, as much as 4 times what the LST. So it was a very big ship.
That's what your dad was on.
He was on the LST, but it was a smaller ship.
He's on LSD.
Uh-huh, yeah. Now, What did you think about World War II? What did that scare you? Did you think Hitler and the Japanese were going to take over the United States?
I thought so. I was glad Truman dropped a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Some people was leery about that. Some people were leery, but I think it ended the war. I think it ended the war.
You had a cousin, Leonard Logel, that we lost in Iwo Jima. It'd probably be in 1945 during the attack of Iwo Jima. Did you know he died then or not? Or were you not aware of that?
Leonard, he got killed on Iwo Jima.
Where were you when that happened?
I was still working at that time.
Had you heard it? Did they tell you he died?
Yeah.
You knew that, yes.
He was a nice kid. He was a nice kid. I remember him. I remember when he went to the train station to leave for the war. He volunteered, I believe.
Yes.
He volunteered.
He was an excellent football player for Memorial, and his brother Gene was an excellent football player, but it was a terrible battle in Iwo Jima. It lost 25,000 men in Iwo Jima, and we lost 25,000 Okinawa. Now, when you went to Okinawa to pick up your ship, what city did they come in to pick it up out of? Was that Naha, or do you remember what port you went in Japan to get on your ship?
I got on the ship at Okinawa.
Uh-huh.
Got on the ship at Okinawa.
Yeah, it's a pretty long island, but that's how they do in war. They just send you. Did you get over there by another ship, or did you get over there by airplane?
Doing
How did you get to Japan at that time? Did you get there by airplane, or did you get there by ship?
by ship,
Ship. Uh-huh.
a troop ship.
Was there a lot of people on the ship?
Oh yeah, it was crowded.
Yeah.
It was a crowded troop ship.
Was it a pleasure ship? Was there a lot of room and did they have entertainment? Was there good food on the ship? And did you have any type of entertainment on the ship? The troop ship.
One.
Was it fun on the troop ship?
No,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't no fun.
Were you scared then?
Well, I was kind of leery what was going to happen after we got there on the troop ship. But it finally ended the war at Nagasaki when the bomb knocked in Okinawa. I mean,
Hiroshima on August 6th and Nagasaki on August 9th. That's right. Nagasaki was the one that ended the war. Do you have any reflections about the invasion of all these islands out there and what you thought about World War II? Because you were a machinist over here in the United States helping make different parts for the war effort. Evansville was one of the biggest places for war effort in the United States. But what were your thoughts during World War II besides fear of Japan or Hitler taking over the United States? What did you think about it as a 20-year-old?
I think about what?
World War II. Before you went over there, what did you think about World War II?
Oh, I thought I couldn't figure out why we get in such messes. I couldn't figure out why if you got in war with Japan or China, they'd fight to the last man. They'd fight to the last man.
They were sort of religious about it. They didn't care. They would just, we'd never run into an adversary like those people. Now, your two brothers, you had Art and Dan, and they were in the Army over in Europe. Did they tell you any stories about World War II?
Oh, they told a lot of stories. They had a lot of stories. Dan was in the Bulge, Battle of the Bulge, and he said he dove under, during the bombing, he dove under a wagon into a pile of poop. He landed in a pile of poop.
And how about Art? What was he? He wasn't in the Battle of the Barge. What was he in over in the Army there? What did he?
Doing?
What battles was Art in? Do you remember what Art was in?
I think he was. I don't remember exactly, but I believe he was in an invasion. I believe he was in an invasion. In France. I believe he is in. There's so many tales. I forgot part of them.
Well, the ship you were on, that called USS Belle Grove, that's a very famous ship in regards to World War II. It was in World War II. It helped with the Battle of Saipan and Tinian, and that was really our sort of airport to get to Japan to drop the bombs. It was sort of a gas station. The planes could get all the way to Japan, drop a bomb, come back. And that happened for a couple years after that battle. And your ship was very instrumental in capturing Tinian and Saipan. And then it was also in the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Then they retired it, I think around late 60s. But you were on a pretty important ship. All ships were important. All troops were important. All people were important in these wars. Did any of your family members work at Republic Air or at the LST factory or at Chrysler that you recall during World War II?
I didn't quite get that.
Did any of your family members work at Chrysler or at LST or at the Republic Air during World War II?
No.
Nobody did, yes.
No. They worked at Meade Johnson.
Uh-huh.
One worked at Meade Johnson.
Ask questions.
me help?
Yeah.
Hey, tell him where Mom worked when you were in San Diego.
What?
Tell him where Mom worked.
Mom worked.
Your girlfriend at the time,
She
or
worked
wife? I
there.
guess your wife.
Audrey Hayes.
Audrey Hayes.
Where'd she work?
She worked at where they made bullets.
So she worked in San Diego or at Chrysler in Evansville?
Chrysler is where she
It's
worked.
actually in Oakland, California, wasn't it?
They made bullets.
Or in Oakland? In Oakland, they.
A Caterpillar plant where they converted to make bullets.
What kind of bullets did she make?
What?
What kind of bullets did Audrey make?
For 45 caliber.
45. They made 95% of the 45 bullets in Evansville. They made 3 billion 45 caliber bullets at Chrysler here, and I guess they made some in Oakland. Why'd she live in Oakland?
What?
Why'd your wife live in Oakland?
Her mother and father, stepfather, they got all over the country. He's a millwright. And after the war, they released us at St. Pedro. And I gave us money to travel, so I went to Oakland.
And that's where you met her?
No, I met her here in 41, in 1941.
When'd you get married?
That same Boniface.
He met her at Don Maddenley's parents' house, grandparents' house. Isn't that right?
What? You gotta speak up. On Don Magley's grandparents' house, that would be the Ulrichs?
Where did you meet Mom at?
At Manning's grandpa's house.
What's his name?
I forget what his name, but he worked at the brewery. And he used it when we was single, he would let us in and give us free beer. He gave us free beer.
Now, Audrey, you married her in 41 here in Evansville at St. Boniface.
Yeah.
So the priest there was not Bosnagel, your priest. Bosnagel, yeah, that's my wife's uncle. Yeah, great uncle. And he was there for a lot of years. But anyway, you got married there. Then where'd your wife, when you went into World War II, did she just stay home or did she go out and find you? Where'd your wife go when you were in the war?
She followed her parents around, and he he was no good.
Yeah.
He spent all our farm.
Yeah.
He spent all our farm money.
Yeah.
He used to buy new DeSotos.
But she would follow him around. Did you have any? When did your first baby come? When did Audrey have your first child? What year?
After the war.
After the war. Okay. Yeah.
After the war.
Was it hard for Audrey for you to be gone from her? Did she pretty lonely? Did she write you a lot of letters?
Do it.
Did Audrey write you a lot of letters during World War II?
Oh, yeah, she do.
Did you get them right away?
Do it.
Did you get the letters right away?
Oh, it took a few days. Took a few days to get it. I'll never forget those days. That was rough days. Audrey had a rough life. After I was gone, after I left, Audrey had a rough life. In fact, she probably had a rough life while I was here too. Yeah.
She was pregnant when they left California.
So Audrey was pregnant when you left California. That'd be 45 and 46. 46. Oh, I see.
His name was Ralph Flichter.
That her dad,
Stepdad.
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 He went
Right.
through.
Stepdad.
Yeah,
He went through two farms.
yeah.
He spent two. He spent enough money on the sodas. Went through two farms.
Now, anything that you children might want to ask, we've got Jim and Judy here that are your daughter and your son and your daughter. They might have some questions that might help us understand more about World War II with you. If you've got any questions, you've got to say it loud so this thing hears it. Jim might ask you a question. Judy may have a question.
Hey, Dad. What did you guys think when they told you that what did you think when they told you the war was over when you were on the ship? When you were on the ship, what did you think when they told you they dropped the bomb? Did you know anything about the bomb?
I didn't know what the bomb was, but it sure ended the bomb. It sure ended the war. Japan gave up soon after that.
Were you guys excited? Were you excited when you heard the war was over?
Oh yeah. Oh God. I wouldn't want to go through that again. I was glad when the war was over.
Did you guys celebrate?
Huh?
Did you celebrate?
Well, they celebrated on the ship. Celebrated on the ship. Everybody's happy. Everybody's happy.
When you cross the equator, did you have to do anything when you cross the equator? There's a celebration for sailors when they cross the equator. Did you ever have to do any of that?
They had a little celebration, yeah.
When the war was over, and then when you cross the equator, the sailors tease each other a little bit. Did you have to do that at all when you were in the Navy? When you cross the equator, sometimes they sort of initiate you.
Yeah, they initiated me.
Yeah.
I forget what they did. I forget what they did, but it was kind of a celebration. It was kind of celebration. At one time, we had two Thanksgivings. One going across the line, and one coming back across the line.
Hey, Dad, tell Mark about training.
What?
Before you got on the ship, they trained you in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yeah. There was a camp in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Pull that thing down. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
What did they teach you there?
Mostly marching. Not much of it. I was never very long. From there we went to San Francisco, and caught the ship, group ship. from there on, there was nothing to do but write letters, and then wait until I got to Okinawa and got on the Belle Grove. Got on the Belle Grove.
When you were in Idaho, did they make you do push-ups and sit-ups? And were you there 6 weeks about for your boot camp?
Yeah,
How long were you in Idaho?
oh, just a couple of days.
A couple of days.
It's just a few days.
Yeah. And on the ship, you were a fireman or in charge of the boilers, or what was your job on the ship when you were on the ship?
Fireman first class. Fireman down below decks.
Did you ever have a fire?
No,
No fire. Yeah.
no. We was lucky. I guess we was lucky there. Never did have no fire. Had fire practice. Had fire practice.
What, Dad, tell us about Shanghai. You would get cigarettes and you go on shore at Shanghai.
Okay.
What was Shanghai like? Tell her what you got at Shanghai, what you did at Shanghai, and was that really interesting to you?
Okay.
What was Shanghai like?
Oh, Shanghai. Oh, yeah. There was one boat after another. One boat after another. Little, I think they call them, I forget what they call them. Anyway,
Got these from Shanghai, didn't you?
yeah.
Oh my. Oh my gosh. You can't get that. It's real scrimshaw, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
real scrim.
Yeah, you got that from Shanghai.
Oh my gosh.
So
I think this is original.
Wow. Look at that.
This is original.
Yes, you can't get that anymore.
how did you buy that?
We went,
How did
the people over there, they eat some kind of bug. They eat some kind of beetle. And I said, you eat these? They said, yeah. I can understand eating beetles.
how did you buy how did you buy this? Did you use money to buy this?
Pack of cigarettes. Pack of cigarettes.
Lucky Strike or Camels?
Huh?
Lucky Strike or Camels?
Oh, they was camel.
What color was the package then? Was that green or what color was the Camel package? What color?
I can't remember what. I can't remember what.
That was worth a lot of money. That cost you a lot of money today. Be more than a pack of cigarettes. You can't get that today.
There's one couple of misses.
Is it ivory? Is that what it
I
is?
think so.
Yeah, you can't have ivory.
Not plenty. A little bit. That's all I need.
Any other ports he went to? What other port did he
Joe,
go?
did you go to Did you get off? Did you get off the ship in Hong Kong?
Yeah, we went to the shopping center. See how the people live. One junk after one junk after another, and they had to cross three or four junks before they get to land.
Were there a lot of people over there in Hong Kong? Just a couple? Were there a lot of people over there?
Oh, that's crowded. That's went up the Yangtze River, and there's just ship, one after another.
Was it pretty clean?
Well, it wasn't too bad for crowded as was. I jumped from one ship to another to get to land.
Did you have any other stops? Any other thing you think of, Judy? Any other place he stopped? Any other ports that you stopped in?
Hong Kong.
Uh-huh.
Shanghai, and then Okinawa. We had to get out of. They ordered us out of out of the port during the storm, during the typhoon. Typhoon is, I think it's hurricane here. I think it's hurricane here.
Yes. But you know, they had you going over there. If we'd have had, if you went over there at a time when if we had to invade mainland Japan, we invaded Okinawa, then he dropped, and that was all in June of 1945. It took us a long time to finish that battle, close to, I think, 3 months. It was April 1st through June to beat Okinawa. So Harry Truman said we couldn't win without the bomb. You were going over there in case the bomb didn't work, and you were going to be part of the invaded mainland Japan.
We got in war. We got in war with Japan. It never ended. They'd fight to the last man. They'd fight to the last man.
They said we would have lost probably 500,000 to 1 million men at that time, and you were going over there for that battle, and we didn't know they were going to give up. If they would not have given up, you'd have been invading mainland Japan is what your job was. And you might not be here right now. They wouldn't be here if you would have had to invade.
I guess I was lucky when it ended during the end when it did, because the war would never end. I don't think that the war would ever end.
There's lots of descriptions about invading mainland Japan, and there was a big plan. It already was on the writing. It is already written about how to go and take them on at mainland Japan, and you were part of that. And that's what would have gone on. So you're very lucky that Harry Truman dropped the bomb.
Yeah, Truman did the right thing, I think.
Yeah.
I think Truman did the right thing.
How about other questions, Jim Burke? Judy? Mother, you think of any questions for him?
No, you were a brave man, but you didn't like the war. I know that.
Dolores said you were a brave man. You were
Nobody
brave.
liked the war. Nobody liked the war. It was an awful thing.
They got in war with Japan. I don't believe it. They'd fight to the last man.
Yeah.
Hey,
I believe they'd fight to the last man.
hey, Dad, did you know any other friends that got killed in the over in the war other than your cousin Leonard? Did you have any other friends that got killed or know anybody?
No.
Is he the only one?
I know. One of his buddies died. I forget his name. One of his buddies died. I forget what his name was.
I remember when your nephew Leonard was killed. He lived in my neighborhood. And when men were killed in those days, they didn't send an officer to tell the surviving loved ones that their son had been killed. They just sent a Western Union boy who was about 12 years old on a bicycle and wasn't really familiar with grief. But he went to the local house with a telegram that Leonard had been killed, and Mrs. Logel was not there. But one of the daughters was, and I don't remember which daughter it was,
Mary Jane.
but she took the telegram and she was frantic, of course. She ran all around the neighborhood to find her mother. It was an awful way to learn about the loss of a son. An awful way. My brother was killed in Germany.
Your brother was?
And my parents were informed the same way. However, it happened to be on a holiday that they were informed, and my father was home with my mother. That was a great fortune because it would have been awful for my mother alone.
I can't quite
She just said the way they informed people of deaths in World War II, of how they did that by Western Union.
His Western Union.
Yes.
His mother took it pretty hard. His mother took it. I'd like to kill her. I'd like to kill her.
Yeah, you can never lose a son. You can never lose a
I
son.
want to say that.
Was your
I'd like to kill her.
And you see, this little local girl was about the same age as the Western Union boy. Very young, inexperienced, had never faced death. It was an awful thing for that young girl.
So you thought it was Mary Jane?
He was going to marry Jane or Betty Jo. There were only two girls there, so it had to be one or
I'm
the other.
not sure which one it was.
Dad?
Huh.
Was your mom worried about you boys being in the war? Dan and Art and you all being in the war? Was your mom worried? Did your mom get worried?
Well, she was dead.
Your
She
mother.
died in 203.
No, your mother.
Huh?
Your mother.
No, she wasn't.
My mama.
Yeah, was she worried about you guys? Her sons being in the war?
Oh, yeah. They had I think they had three stars at the window. 3 stars at the window.
That means she had 3 sons in the war, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, well, thank you, Lawrence. I appreciate your time, and we'll make a little copy of this for your children. Okay, and get you a copy. You did a great job. Appreciate your time today. Appreciate your service to our country. People like you have given us what we call our privileges in the world. We have freedom of speech and freedom of writing and freedom of religion, and these are cherished things for our country. But people like you, you're part of what we call the greatest generation, and sacrificed many things.
I didn't do nothing those. I didn't do nothing.
Well.
I really don't deserve the care I'm getting. I really don't deserve the care I'm getting.
Yeah. Well, still, it's you are part of the greatest generation, and your kids know it, and we just thank you for that.
I thank you.
This is a photograph of Lawrence Lewis Logel in about 1945 in Farragut, Idaho, during his time as at recruit camp or basic training. He said that was a very short time. This is a photograph of Audrey Hayes, who became Audrey Hayes Logel, and that's Lawrence Lewis Logel, about 1945. This is the emblems of the amphibious Belle Grove, and you look at the symbols, and that's what the symbols of the ship were. This is the date served aboard the USS Belle Grove, and in yellow, this is where Lawrence Lewis Logel, this is the time he arrived on the ship on 9/22/45. So war was actually over, but when he was on the troop ship coming across the ocean, he was the bomb had dropped at Nagasaki and Hiroshima, so he knew before he arrived. And there is his name, and there is the list, and there's his enlistment date, Evansville, Indiana.